Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We're going to be walking you through today's weather forecast and beyond to talk about what you can expect out your door. But be sure to subscribe to the channel down below if you are not a new subscriber. Make sure to do so you guys get your weather forecast update for this channel as well. And also press the like button as this helps to get weather information out to as many people as possible. I cannot stress that enough. So looking here at the tropics, we do see an active picture across the United States and the tropics here. We have Hurricane Jova over here into the eastern Pacific Ocean. We do have some active severe weather we'll talk about into the United States, and we also have what's Major Hurricane Lee out here as well. And oh yeah, we also have another storm that has formed. That is Tropical Storm Margot that is just to the east of Lee in the North Atlantic Ocean. So let's first look here at the eastern Pacific Ocean basin. This is Hurricane Jova. This is starting to lose its punch a little bit as it moves into some cooler waters to the west and away from North America here. And let's look at Hurricane Jova's track. So looking at the track of this system, over the next couple of days and into early next week, it's going to lose its luster from a hurricane back to tropical storm status and then eventually to a depression and kind of slow down as well with its forward speed as it does so. But it's going to be most importantly moving away from North America. That's the most important thing here. It's not going to be causing any impacts to land. Right now, it is a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane, and it is moving quickly off to the west-northwest at 16 miles per hour. But the bigger picture here is for the North Atlantic Ocean. We do have two storm systems we're keeping an eye on here. Of course, we're looking at Major Hurricane Lee that is currently across the North Atlantic, but also Tropical Storm Margot out here that is just off the coast of Africa. This is more likely to be a fish storm. So let's look at this first here at Tropical Storm Margot's track. And you can see it's going to become a hurricane, but you look at it's not anywhere near any source of land. So right now it's going to be moving over the fish here across the North Atlantic. Right now it's a mid-grade tropical storm at a 40-mile-per-hour storm there, moving west-northwest at 17 miles per hour, likely getting into Cat 1, possibly Cat 2 territory with a hurricane by the time we get into early and middle portion of next week. Now let's take a look at Major Hurricane Lee's track here. Right now this is a high-end Category 4 hurricane at 155 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at 13 miles per hour here. And notice all the M's on the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. That is major hurricane status. So yes, at least through Wednesday morning this next week, we're at least talking a Cat 3 or stronger with this system. So this is going to become and continue to be a major hurricane over the next several days as it passes to the north of the Caribbean, to the north, most importantly, of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti as it moves toward the west-northwest. So let's look at here why this storm is moving the way it's moving. We have a trough moving across the United States up here, across the Great Lakes. This is going to be a key player in the steering mechanism for Hurricane Lee. So by Wednesday, September 13th, that trough is coming down from Canada across the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley, and there's Lee down here meandering just to the north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. As we get into late week, it's going to make that jog to the north. It's going to boomerang itself back to the north-northeast. And this trough up here is going to start to move its way up to the northeast as well, kind of pulling the system up across the northwestern Atlantic. Notice it's over the open waters of the northwest and western Atlantic here and away from the eastern seaboard by the time we get to a week from today on Friday, September 15th. And then that trough is all the way up toward Nova Scotia and the eastern portions of Canada, and that's going to pull this system out to sea by the time we get towards this next upcoming weekend. So that is something that is the most important part about this track of the storm. So let's track this again. Early next week, Monday, Tuesday, just to the north of Puerto Rico here, not making a direct landfall anywhere here on a source of land by early next week. Late next week, we start to see that turn back to the north and east very slowly. It's going to slow down its forward speed, and that's when we're going to continue to see major intensity hurricane, probably at least a Category 3 still. And then as we go in toward next weekend, it's going to slowly begin to weaken, probably still a hurricane or a very strong tropical storm. But notice it's well to the east of the East Coast here and east of Cape Cod here as that trough up in eastern Canada pulls it more out to sea and over the open water rather than making a direct impact there to land. And let's look at the intensity here of this system. We have the very warm waters. We already know this. We talked about this several times. I feel like I've talked about it 1,000 times on this channel. The sea surface temperature anomalies are exceptionally warm. It is anomalous for this time of year. And you see the reason for that here is going to actually aid in the category 4 strength intensity, category 3 intensity of this system with Lee as it moves forward really through this weekend and into the middle part of next week. It's really not going to drop off and into intensity unless we get past about Wednesday, Thursday next week. Looking at the impacts for Hurricane Lee, really all we're seeing is rip currents, beach erosion, and very rough surf out there. That's it for the most part here for the United States and for the Caribbean and Eastern Canada. So for today, we're starting to see those elevated waves move in here toward the Leeward Islands. We're going to be watching out for those 5 to 7 foot waves by this afternoon and tonight. Then that's going to spread westward by this weekend, Saturday into Saturday night, and then into Sunday, we're going to start to slowly see that meander further off to the west. These greens that outlines about 5 to 7, even 9 foot waves there, not too far offshore of portions of Puerto Rico there, and to the north and east of the Dominican Republic. Early next week, the system gets close enough. We're starting to see the yellows here. That's 10, maybe up to 15 foot waves. Again, just a few hundred miles off to the north-northeast there of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. And then as we go into late next week, Thursday, Friday timeframe, as it makes that boomerang turn back to the north-northeast, that's going to send some stronger surf and some rip current risks across the eastern seaboard of the United States from northeast Florida all the way to portions of Cape Cod. We got to be watching out for maybe some 5 to 7 foot waves not too far offshore, some rip currents most importantly, and possibly some minor beach erosion. As we get into next weekend, the system's going to be moving up towards the northeast. Again, as you see the northeast of the United States up here, just to the east of there, that's where that system will be. It's not going to make landfall in the United States, but the beach erosion, the rip current risk, and the rough surf will be there. Cape Cod especially, we could be seeing wave heights up to 15 feet potentially, maybe even higher than that, depending on how far west this system goes. But I am very confident this system will not make landfall in the United States, at least through next weekend. Looking at the long-term pattern here for the tropics, it does look to take a little bit of a break very momentarily through next week, but then toward the end of September, things ramp up yet again in the main development region, maybe a little bit further south than we see Lee here, and this could put more of the Caribbean at play as we get toward late September, possibly beyond into early October for tropical weather activity and development as we get toward that time frame. There's plenty of time to watch it, no need to panic, but we'll continue to watch it for you folks on this channel. Going across the United States and southern Canada, very busy here as well. We have some severe weather to talk about today from the eastern seaboard, also down across the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley, also even some thunderstorms up across the northern Rockies as well. You can see those highlighted areas for severe weather, slight risk in the yellow across the northeast from Maine all the way down into northern Virginia and from portions of southeastern Oklahoma, East Texas, southwest Arkansas, and to Louisiana. Another slight risk for severe weather. Cities at play here, Portland down to Concord, New Hampshire, getting down into Hartford, Connecticut, Albany, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., getting down toward the Richmond area. We'll be watching out for some severe storms. Damaging winds and large hail will be the main mode, although an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. And also the same thing holds true for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Tyler, Texas, Shreveport, and getting down toward the south toward Houston and Lake Charles, Louisiana, those areas, we could be seeing some damaging wind gusts, also some large hail, and very small chance of an isolated tornado down here as well. Looking at the weekend ahead, we do have some soggy weather expected from the mid-Atlantic up into the northeast, so lots of rainfall, numerous coverage of showers and storms up into those areas, and a frontal boundary. This is going to start our new weather pattern change across the middle portion of the country that will drop southbound through the weekend and provide us with some relief from the heat and also some relief from drought as we go into next week. So looking at the northeast first, now through Monday, this is through September 11th here, We're expecting 1 to 3 inches of rain from Maine down through portions there of Vermont, New Hampshire, western and central Massachusetts, especially into western Connecticut there, New York State, getting down through northern New Jersey, Pennsylvania, getting into the Delmarva region. We'll continue to watch that. Likely seeing potentially some minor flooding down in some of these areas, especially that see over 2 inches of rain. Otherwise, a nice soaking for the Northeast. Now we turn the attention to the heat headlines. We still have those heat advisories in the orange and also those excessive heat warnings in the pink down here into the Lone Star State of Texas and vicinity. So we'll continue to watch that. We are going to be very hot again today. So folks, yes, we're back into the triple digits, back well over the triple digit mark here this afternoon. In fact, we could be up to 110 in the Abilene area, 108 there in Wichita Falls, and 108 as well in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 106 in Houston, and 105 in San Antonio. Look as we go into tomorrow. Still a hot day, but notice more 90s in the picture than triple digits here. So we're going to start to move that triple digit line a little bit further to the south on Saturday, and then we'll do so again on Sunday. And notice we have more mid and upper 90s and even some 80s up into Oklahoma and Arkansas and northern Louisiana than 100-degree temperatures. That will move further to the south toward the Rio Grande Valley. And by early next week, here's the silver lining, folks, and the bottom line is we're going to see a lot of precipitation moving in from Kansas down into Oklahoma and into North Texas. That will provide at first the relief from the heat, but also the building drought across this region will be a welcome sight to see the rainfall here as we go in towards next week. And you see late next week, that frontal boundary not only moves to the east coast, but also all the way down to the south toward the Gulf Coast and the Rio Grande Valley, something we haven't seen all year. And that high pressure system will be in strong control across the Midwest by later next week. So let's walk you through the temperatures. To start the work week on Monday, September 11th, we're into the 90s. It's going to be a hot day here, but probably not as hot as you've seen as we go into that Monday time frame. There's the front. You can clearly make it out. It's 79 in Amarillo, 77 in Oklahoma City, and 72 in Tulsa for the high on Monday. As we finish the next week, on Friday, a week from today, on September 15th, look at the high temperatures, folks. 73 in Dallas-Fort Worth, 68 in Wichita Falls, 67 in Oklahoma City. And do I see mid-60s? Yes, 66 in Amarillo in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, and Kansas. 4 high temperatures as we go into your Friday, September 15th timeframe. So just wait a few more days, folks. I promise you, relief from the heat and some of that drought out there is on the way for the southern plains. And looking at the drought aspects of this, look at the rainfall amounts we could be seeing between now and next Friday on September 15th. Plentiful rain from southern Nebraska through Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas. In fact, some of these areas into western Kansas, the Garden City, Dodge City region, getting down here towards the Elk City, Kansas area, getting down to Oklahoma City, Lawton, Fort Sill, Amarillo. We could be seeing some 1 to 3 inch rainfall amounts there. That extends down toward the Red River, and then you start to see more of those 1 to 3 inch rains down across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, we're picking up 2.8 inches of rain potentially between now and next Friday. It tapers off a little bit further south, but still a nice drink of water down here for Houston, up to around an inch of rain, and maybe some rainfall up to near a quarter of an inch or a little bit more than that toward the Rio Grande Valley by next weekend. And that will definitely do a number on our drought. Hopefully, that's what we need. We need the drought to go away across the southern plains so we can get more of these cooler days, because remember, dry ground heats up faster than wetter ground does. So we need to get rid of this drought so we can get more of those cooler temperatures down across this region. We have a lot of work to do, but that rain will be a nice welcome sight to starting that process as we go in towards next week. So seeing a lot of severe, extreme, and exceptional drought here with the oranges, the reds, and the maroon reds. We have a lot of work to do, like I said, but things will be changing as we go in towards next week. If you want to watch my weather forecast for the winter this year and what I expect to see this winter for 2023 and 24, the link for that video is in the description down below. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter or X for additional weather forecast updates at hweather420. That is also in the description down below the video. I do update on that platform very frequently. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Share this video on social media, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything. Thank you so much for the support. Make sure, if you're not a new subscriber to the channel, to hit the subscribe button down below so I can keep you ahead of the weather forecast for your area on this channel. Be sure to press the like button down below. It really does help to get this weather information out to as many people as possible. And I hope everybody has a great weekend out there.